Hey, what's up, Holo Super Duper Simps, and welcome back to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a Simply Logical podcast.
Hello, we are still here.
Today's episode is brought to you by Holo Taco and the new Winter Shimmers collection, available right now. The link is down below. Click that link.
Were you going to say swipe up?
I don't know what I'm
You were going to say.
I'm not good at this.
Swipe up for the new Winter Shimmers. We still have some collection box sets left, which is good. We're doing great. So those are still available.
Great,
you can get all the 3 new iridescent shimmers and the 2 new creme polishes, which people are loving. Yes. And if you noticed, Ben was one of our new swatchers in just 2 listings. We started you off, slow with just 2 listings instead of all 5, but how is that for you?
I'm still waiting for my talent fee. Just thought you should know.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you a free collection box set.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Kidding.
Yeah. So, there's 2 new creme shades. Lavender.
You don't know the name?
Well, at one
fired.
point, I thought it was going to be... Okay, I shouldn't say the other name. It could have been. And then the navy, shady navy.
Shady navy, yeah.
And then, the 3 new... It's a new kind of topper. It's
what are their names? Go.
Shimmer.
This is a quiz.
Twilight Shimmer, Polar Princess, and Celestial Lights.
Yeah, good job.
Because Northern Lights is trademarked, right?
And nail polish,
Something like that.
But this is not the trademark podcast. But
to me, it's like Legend of Zelda, the Polar Princess, or Legend of Zelda, Twilight Shimmer.
Ben helped with shade names, and I'm sometimes not sure if that's a good decision, But we always come up with shade names with a long list. Sometimes there's 5 really good ones, or there's 15 really bad ones. But whatever it is, there's always a long list that we kind of go through.
Yeah. Cristine, I have a confession.
What?
This episode wasn't actually sponsored by Holo Taco. We just say that, but you own the brand, so we just say it's sponsored by Holo Taco.
Yeah, I don't actually pay SimplyPodLogical for this plug. We just do it.
Yeah.
We're lying.
And speaking of confessions, that's what we're doing today, Cristine.
Confessing our sins?
No, we are looking at other people's confessions on the internet, on Reddit.
Gotta love Reddit.
I think mostly because someone sent you one that had something to do with you. And then we went down a bit of a rabbit hole and thought this would be fun to just sort of look at other people's confessions.
So it's kind of like Am I the Asshole or Unpopular Opinions. They're both their own respective subreddits, but there's also r/confessions, which I didn't know about until someone pointed me to it. Were you aware of that one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I guess there's something for everything, on Reddit. There's something for everyone.
Yeah, that's usually not a good thing, but this is a pretty popular one. A lot of them are kind of depressing and sad. So we just tried to take some more lighthearted ones.
Yeah, we tried to get a balance. But I remember the sentiment of confessing something, usually anonymously. I remember reading in Cosmo magazine when I was, 16 years old.
Oh.
There'd always be girl confessions in magazines that people would write anonymously.
I only got Maxim magazine, but I didn't read the articles.
You didn't read the confessions?
There were no confessions.
You need to clarify that you're just saying that, right? You're trying to be funny.
Little boys had Playboys and Maxim magazines.
Ben is so funny.
You didn't okay.
Did not
Starting
like that
on a
joke.
good note. First confession, Cristine. I spiked the entire office's coffee supply with decaf coffee beans and told nobody.
At least it was that direction and not the other way around.
Okay, you're looking at this glass
because you don't want to
full.
give people a stimulant and not tell them, that.
I drugged. Yeah, you're right. You'd be drugging
yeah.
people. You're taking people's drugs away from them in this case.
Yeah. This would, I know people want their coffee and they would be really disappointed. And if you're a coffee lover, you'd be really pissed if this happened to you. But I do kind of wonder, as an experiment about the outcome, did people notice?
I'm pretty sure people would notice this.
Are you sure? I'm going to do this to you.
No, please don't. People probably had headache. People are seriously addicted to coffee. Some people are. If someone's just occasionally has coffee, they probably wouldn't notice this.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's completely harmless. I guess if I'm trying to find, this is just kind of interesting to me. It's a good research experiment.
Well, the thing I don't get about this is, not to give this too much thought, But like, what is the motivation to do this? To just
for
make
fun.
all your coworkers
You're
more
just bored in
tired?
the office. Or maybe you want to prove a point. Maybe you want to know, like, are these people actually addicted to the substance in coffee? Or are they, it's just a social thing? And they could still have that social thing with decaf coffee. I don't know. I'm just
It is a
interested.
weirdo like you that would do this.
No, no, no.
Are
No.
you confessing? Is this you, Cristine?
A weirdo like me would think about it, but I would never do it.
Okay. All right, next one. I posted fake jobs on the internet so I could build my own resume. When I was 19 or 20 years old, I was looking for jobs and could not find any, and people would tell me to build a nice resume. The problem was I did not know how to do it, so I posted fake jobs on the internet and would get resumes. I used these resumes to build my own using the skills that I liked on their resumes. I could also tell who was competing with me for those jobs that I posted. I feel bad for those people that thought it was genuine and applied. I am now 33 and have a nice job. Those resumes truly did help me build my career.
What? What I don't understand is if you don't have the capacity or you self-perceive yourself as not knowing how to write a resume, how are you writing a job application that sounds legit, that people like read, that's a good job I want to apply to? Like, how do you have one skill and not the other?
That's a good point. Seems like a bit of a loophole.
I'm wondering
here.
if this person is confessing something that didn't happen.
Maybe the case. Part of me thinks it's kind of genius. Although you're right, if they're writing a credible job application,
Then they
they
know
should be.
if you're writing the question, sometimes you know the answer because you need to know how to spell out the right questions.
The sneakier part might be that they were like getting the inside look at what other people, their peers, had as job qualifications that they could just lie about.
But if they were so good at writing a job application that sounded like a legit job and people were actually giving credible resumes like that had good content in it, then the poster had duped them successfully because they wrote a good job application.
Also, there's free resources for how to write a good CV.
Yeah, this
or
seems
resume,
kind of
right?
silly to me. Like, why go to this length? You can literally just Google like example resumes.
Like
in
this
different
person's
industries.
33 now. They would have had the internet when they were first trying to come into the job market. If this was many, many years ago, this would make a little bit more sense to me. Also, like if you lie on a resume, that
Yeah.
usually doesn't work out, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm aware. I've seen this sort of happen where someone pretends they can do a bunch of things they can't. And it's like, it's not going to work out very well in most cases, I think.
Yeah, all the advice I've gotten on resume writing, and hey, we're the same age. So I remember what it was like to be 19 or 20 at the same time that this poster was. And there were some resources on the internet, or you could at least like ask your friends or ask someone who works in that industry, like a much older adult, they might have some ideas for you. And you can never lie, but you can kind of spin something that makes you sound good, but you should never be dishonest. Like if you don't know how to code a specific programming language, don't write that you can code that programming language. But what do you know? Maybe you have like good aptitude or ability to learn, or you've taken a class in like a different coding language, but that lends to the ability to describe the fact that maybe you have the aptitude to learn a new language. So there's always ways to spin it.
I knew a girl back when I was in undergrad, and she had this boyfriend, and he's a nice looking guy, but like there wasn't much going on up there. And she would write his resumes for him and try to help him get a job. And she was like super supportive, but in a way that's like not really helping someone, because like even her ability to like formulate sentences in like a cover letter and job application, when that guy shows up to a job and like he can't write a sentence, you know what I mean? Like are you really doing someone a favor at a certain point?
Yeah, I struggled with this too because I was often like kind of helping my friends with their resumes because I was the one with the printer. I don't know.
There was the
we
only
lived
one
in the old
printer in
days
town?
where I had the printer in my room and a lot of people didn't.
Oh,
they would go to
your house.
campus.
Okay,
yeah. And so I remember kind of just it became a thing where I was helping people with the formatting of their resumes, and I ended up helping them with like the bullet points of their skills and abilities. And yeah, I think having a discussion amongst friends about, sharing your resumes and trying to work together and bounce ideas off of each other is never a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with talking to people and trying to figure out what sounds good. And maybe you can learn something from your friends' resumes, but you can't write something that is factually not true on your own.
And for me, I think the point I'm trying to make, there's a difference between helping someone with something and just doing it for them.
Yeah. That's not going to serve them.
Anyway,
Don't write someone's resume for them.
Okay.
But you can help them format it or give them ideas.
All right, next confession. My nail ended up in a customer's salad. Cristine, was this you?
It happens. No. It happens. But no customer. I am the customer.
All right. They say I work at a restaurant, and while I was doing my side work one day, part of my nail came off, and I had no idea where it went. I fixed my nails the next day. When I got back to work, my manager is freaking out because a Togo salad had a nail in it. Cristine, what's a Togo salad?
I have no idea.
Never heard of that.
Togo?
You're a salad expert.
Yeah, no.
He was going around checking everyone's nails, and thank God I changed mine because right as I saw the nail, I was like, oh, whose nails are those? Knowing damn well that was my nail. Absolutely no idea how it ended up in the salad, but it did, and I'm super lucky I didn't get caught.
How did they change their nails so quickly? I'm like confused.
I assume this is like a fake nail type situation.
So they took them all off to not be caught?
Or just replace the one. I don't know. You're asking me questions as if I know.
Yeah, but I'm just like, I want to know that detail because how they hide it.
Yeah, but okay, so we often hear this, right?
Yeah.
Especially when we have conversations about like peely base and that kind of product type that, yeah, if you work in food service industry, I'm sure you have rules and regulations even about wearing nail polish. Or is that more just the employer determining that?
Well, I think there's two separate conversations. There's the conversation where an employer who works in the food service industry has the right for like work health and safety reasons for their customers to outlaw anything that would involve paint potentially chipping into the food. That makes sense to me, right? Like, and I'm sorry, but I cannot defend everyone who wants to wear nail polish, if they work in the food service industry. I think your employer has the legal responsibility to make sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, okay.
Well,
I think
we
so.
shouldn't just make. I don't know.
Okay, I think maybe it depends on where you live or whatever. But I think, like generally speaking, from a reasonable person
It makes
perspective,
sense, yeah.
if you're a customer somewhere you're eating food, you want to make sure that the employees are not accidentally putting paint in your food, right? It's not just nail polish, right? Yeah. Like other things too. Like you just have to ensure that. So there's that. But then the separate other conversation is employers who don't want their employees to wear nail polish purely based on the fact that they don't like how it looks. And it has nothing to do with workplace health and safety. And that is something that is absolutely stupid, in my opinion, in 22.
In 22, yeah.
In the year 22.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And we'll see those comments too occasionally. Or we'll see it like in school. Like my school doesn't let me wear nail polish. And it's just like...
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Like,
but however, I understand it happens. I have never experienced it. I never went to a school or knew of anyone personally where I live where it wasn't allowed. But of course, I hear about it from you guys on the internet, say that your school doesn't allow nail polish, or you work in an office that doesn't want anyone to wear nail polish unless it's like the color beige or something. Which
why is that?
Why? I mean, you're asking the wrong person. Because hey, we worked in a corporate office back when there were offices that people went to, but no one cared about my nail polish. It's just, it's insane to me. And hey, we work in Ottawa. It's far more progressive than the average person's environment listening to this podcast, I guess.
Maybe.
So I know, yeah, it is. It just objectively is. Canada is generally more progressive than middle of America.
There are pockets of Canada where
Sorry,
we don't need to get
Ottawa,
into that.
I said Ottawa,
where
we work. So no, I never experienced anyone give me dirty looks or tell me that I can't wear my sparkly nail polish in an office where I'm just doing my job. However, I hear from you guys stories where it's totally not the same, and it just really fucking sucks. I hope that we're growing into a world where that isn't going to be an issue. This should not be a workplace issue. Why is this a problem? It is so inconsequential to your ability to do your job.
Yes, but I also don't want nails in my
food,
salad.
right? But that's a separate conversation.
You should make that could be a main channel video. I made instead of croutons, it's just full of your peelies.
A peely salad.
It could be. We could figure out what a Togo salad is.
Don't eat the nail polish though. Is also something that we say.
This is something we say sometimes. All right. Next one. Ever since I became famous, I have been struggling not to cheat on my wife.
Same.
First off, I'm not super famous like Justin Bieber or anything like that.
Just famous like Simply Now Logical.
But I have a few 100,000 followers on Twitter, several million views on YouTube, and a very respectable amount of money in the bank.
Who is this? I want to call them out.
It's Ninja. My wife and I have been together for 7 years, married for 2, and I may be fudging the numbers a little for the sake of privacy. I've always been a relationship guy, and I've never had much of an interest in casual sex. Before I had fame or fortune, I never thought about cheating at all, but then again, it's easy not to cheat when no one wants to have sex with you. Okay. Now when I go and do a show, or sometimes when I'm just walking down the street, there's girls giving me their numbers and groping me. Sure. It's difficult because as much as my head says no, there's another part of me that is screaming yes. I'll get home after working hard and having lots of girls flirt with me just to have my wife say that she's too tired. I know that I don't deserve any points for not cheating on my wife, but she just doesn't understand how hard it can be sometimes. I couldn't talk to her about this without upsetting her or making her feel inadequate. I honestly don't want to cheat on her. It's just difficult to go from having to work incredibly hard to get a woman to having them throw themselves at you. I'm not really looking for anything here. It's just frustrating sometimes.
It's just so hard, Ben.
What a confession. I'm just such an attractive man.
You're so oppressed.
Women are throwing themselves at me everywhere I go. You just can't
dedicate yourself to the person that you promised that you would dedicate yourself to because there's just so much temptation. What is a man to do? What is a man to do?
Well, it makes me think he's only with his wife because he didn't have other options. That's not really fair to her either, right? So if you actually feel this way...
Yeah, but is he looking for other options for a partner? Or is he just like, hey, I'm famous. I can fuck whoever I want. This is fun. There's a difference.
The guy's got like a Twitter following and he thinks he's famous.
Buddy, you're not famous. The reality check.
Yeah.
Everyone with a Twitter following thinks they're famous. But anyways.
Is there... I don't know. What else do we say about this one?
I mean, I think this guy is just clearly a jerk. However, if we want to give, real advice here, person who is famous and listening or not listening, is like, if you don't want to be with your wife and you want to be with other people, multiple people, because they throw themselves at you, then tell your wife that you want a divorce. And then you can go live that other life.
Or you want an open relationship, and then they get to choose whether they're okay with that.
Yeah, but you can't decide you want an open relationship for both people.
Well, no, but someone has to be the one to bring it up if
sure.
that's something.
So you're allowed to say that you would like to do that, but your wife is equally allowed to say that's unacceptable to me. I don't want to be with you. And if that's the outcome that you're okay with, then that's fine. But I kind of like the subtext that we're not hearing is that he doesn't want to leave his wife. Yeah, he wants both. It's so hard. It's so hard not to cheat on, your loyal partner because all of a sudden you've discovered fame and, that fame can be fleeting too. And then what's left? So I don't know. I mean, it's all how you want to run your life. I really don't care if this person decides to tell their wife that they just want to live a different life. But you have to be honest with that and expect that your partner is going to be hurt. And clearly they're trying to hide it from their partner by saying, I don't want to bring it up to her because she's just not going to understand what it's like to be famous and have people throwing themselves at you. Like, okay.
I want, like, you hear about, like, athletes or, celebrities maybe. I don't think it's that abnormal for people, like, once they become super successful to maybe not stick with the person they were with before they became super successful.
But isn't that just, like, poor impulse control? Because all of a sudden you have way more options and temptation and you think you're hot shit. So you're like, I can do whatever I want with no consequences.
Yeah. I guess it makes me, it's kind of sad because it makes me think they were just with that person before because like they were just like settling for that maybe.
But now because they're rich and famous and other people are throwing themselves at them, they're like, this is the life they want. Is it really though? Or are they just getting caught up in this like fantasy of having a bunch of women throw themselves at me? Like that's what I think.
Yeah, no, that all sounds that doesn't sound very fulfilling. Let's put it that way. But it just makes me think that on both sides of that line of before they were famous and after, it sounds like they just didn't have an attitude towards relationships in either case in a way, It's not to excuse this sort of attitude, but it's just like yeah, maybe you were just in a bad relationship before, and maybe you're just a shitty person who didn't attract a good partner before as well, right?
Yeah, but fame changes people in different ways. And this, like, obviously we don't have the background, so I really don't know how else maybe it's gotten to this person's head. But in this, with only the information we have, it sounds like the fame has gotten to this person's head where they think they should just have the right to be able to, you know, engage with all the women who are throwing themselves in it because you're just famous and that's how it is. And that is a subtext that happens all the time in like athlete culture, right? A culture I'm not familiar with, but you know, I hear about it on Twitter or whatever, where it's just like accepted apparently that some male athlete stars might sleep with multiple people outside of their marriages because that's just how it is. That's what happens.
You hear about this, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just pretty disappointing and sad to me that you think that you're special and exempt or exempt from consequences and that, you know, your wife isn't going to leave you because you have the money or whatever, the power, or you have the fame, and therefore you can do what you want. So I think it's an exploitation of power in a sense that I don't think is actually a good thing as a human being.
Yeah, and I kind of think it says something about the lack of like a meaningful relationship to you, that just random hooking up with random people is something you would choose to do. Tells me you just, I don't know.
Well, but it depends. Like, if you just want the lifestyle where you hook up with random people, that's fine. That's not what I'm saying. But like, you need to tell the previously dedicated wife that you have that's
okay.
you cannot have both. That's not fair.
Yeah, yeah. Have you? You're kind of famous. Are there men sliding into your DMs?
There's so many people who just throw themselves at me. They're just throwing. They're all over the table. They just left.
They were just here. I just missed them. Yeah.
I do not have people throwing themselves at me.
I guess there is like a yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's an insecurity
I
thing.
can't relate to this person's struggle because I have not had people throw themselves at me because I got famous. Oh. So I don't know. But I'm also like not fucking stupid, like, and disrespectful. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I just would not, my brain doesn't think in this way.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Confession. I work remote and unplugged, and I unplugged the Ethernet out of my work computer and just said my internet was down, so I just have a mental health day.
I feel like we've all done that to some extent.
We've all probably kind of been there, right?
We've all, you know, everyone who's worked from home has at one point does something that was not working from home.
Well, I find for me, just there's some days where I'm just like, I'm not being productive and I'll work a little bit less, and then I just try to make up for it.
Yeah, and that happened in the office too.
Oh, like, yeah, for sure.
People just do that. We are human beings. You cannot just plug in and do the exact same tempo of work for 8 hours straight with a half an hour lunch break. Some days you're more productive than others. But I think we've definitely been more aware of our productivity or lack of or mood because more people are home. Not everyone, obviously, but those working from home, I think, have more like corporate confessions from work from home stories. But on the point of like having a mental health day, obviously I think more employers just need to have those so that employees don't feel the need to lie to say that they need a mental health day. So,
yeah, I used to occasionally just use sick days just when I was feeling like stressed out and
yeah, but we're lucky that we have them in the government.
For sure.
And you can use them for that. But the majority of people listening to this don't have that.
Yeah. Moving on, confession, I'm sick of my boyfriend playing video games.
Ban!
I play video games too, but I'm so tired of his entire life being about video games. He works from 7 to 4 and then Twitch streams from 5 to 11 and from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And somehow I think it counts as spending time with me if he plays a game. If he plays a game, I play too. I don't want to play games with you. I want to see you. I want you to take me to dinner. I want you to watch a movie with me. I want to have a conversation. I want to have sex more than once every other week. I'm so sick of this. This whole time we've been dating, I've been supportive because it's your dream to make it big as a streamer. I want so badly to say it's been over a year and you only have 500 followers. No one talks on your channel. Maybe once every 5 streams you have, you're 26 years old and you are wasting your time on a child's dream. You spend this is pretty harsh. You spend 50% of your life playing video games, but you do nothing to try and have more than, a job making $14 an hour with no benefits for the foreseeable future. Even when you have off time, you watch YouTube videos and Twitch shit the whole time where to get this person sounds like they hate their boyfriend.
They're really upset.
Do I have to keep reading this?
Is there anything more substantial?
Anyway, they feel neglected as a partner. They don't believe in their partner's dream.
Maybe just read the last paragraph.
Okay. I hate to break it to you. She's writing this as if it's a letter to him. But it takes work, which is why you'll never make it, because you think putting in a bunch of hours is how you get followers. You actually have to do work and actually have to be good at it instead of just sitting there with a blank expression expecting people to literally just watch you play a game. Maybe I'm just a controlling bitch, but seriously, screw this.
Wow. So, yeah, there's a lot of anger in her position, clearly. And it's something she probably doesn't want to say directly to him because you will severely hurt his feelings and make him feel inadequate if you were to say you're basically a loser and no one wants to watch you.
Yeah, but why would you be in a relationship with someone you thought was just a huge loser?
Yeah, I think that's my question. How old did they say? 26? He's 26?
Something like that. I don't know. Yeah, you're 26 years old.
And you're wasting your time on a child's
dream. Yeah, you're allowed to still waste your time on a child's dream in your 20s.
I mean, I guess this is where, okay, relationship advice. This is that point of the road where you say you have different values than I do. And that's okay. Yeah. This person, has a life course. They might accept the fact that they haven't broken into fame and they're dedicated to it. And it doesn't matter that they're not making money. That's just what they want to do. If you want to do something different with your life and you have different goals you want to achieve and a partner you want to be along the same ride on the same path as you, then this might be that fork in the road for you in your relationship.
Yeah. I mean, even take the I want to be a famous streamer element out of it. It would just be really difficult to be in a relationship with someone who you never spend any meaningful time with because they're just doing their hobby without you. Although this person says if they were playing games together, we're not really spending time together. That's not really true, right? People. Yeah. There's some people who probably enjoy just gaming together a lot. And
work, I guess the guy perceives this as work because he's trying to make it big.
I guess.
But it's possible to work with your partner too. Like we do, right now. Yeah. We're spending time together, but we're working. Got that Holo Taco sponsor.
Yeah, but sorry. All I can think about with this one is just why are these people in a relationship? Why is this woman in this relationship if she resents this person so much?
I feel like that's kind of an obvious statement, but at the same time, we've all been in relationships where you don't want to just leave. Right? Maybe you really like this person. They're just not explaining the redeeming qualities. Maybe you spent a long time with this person and you really want the best for them. And you want to see them grow up from their, 26-year-old activities that it seems that she's really frustrated with. So I can kind of understand that frustration. It's not so easy to just leave. It's just a really hard reality to accept. Why is Tyler tapping your face?
He's really stressed today.
It's about me. It's about me. Tyler's tapping Ben's face.
I think there's a more interesting conversation to have about if you're in a relationship with someone who's really trying to follow a dream that's very unlikely, right? Mm-hmm. Most people aren't going to be very successful video game players, right? Yeah. I think that's still the case.
Yeah.
So where is the line between respecting that wish and dream and being supportive of that? And how long until you have to be sort of the voice of
reason?
Yeah. Or just.
That's a really good question. I think it depends on you. So if it's me, I'm a very goal-driven person and I want to move forward. I don't want to stay stagnant. And I would have a really hard time just staying delaying, in a relationship where my partner's goals are just not really they're not admitting things that are obvious. Mm-hmm. They're not actually putting effort into building our life together. And I personally would have a hard time sticking in that for a long time because it bothers me. I want someone who is motivated, who's on the same wavelength as me. So it depends on you. However, if maybe you're more accepting of that and you do want to support them and you feel okay about it and you guys have come to an agreement about finances or whatever, how you're going to manage your life, then that's okay too. But I think it really depends on how you feel and what makes the most sense for your decision. But it is kind of your decision whether or not you need to move forward and on or stay and see. And only you can decide that.
Should have like a Simply's relationship corner over here.
Well, you would say the same thing, right? There's nothing I said that's revolutionary.
You just
It's
said
kind
it
of
way,
obvious.
You said it way better than me.
Okay.
All right, confession. I artificially inflated the prices of SimplyPodLogical collectibles on eBay for fun.
Excuse me?
Excuse me. This is the
Excuse the fuck
thing
me?
that came through your inbox.
You're
and
going
like,
now.
what's going on here? I wasn't in a dark place. I didn't need to sell my own collectibles so I could eat or anything like that. It was just funny to me to make new accounts on eBay and bid massive amounts on old collection boxes or limited edition nail polishes and then never pay.
It's so funny.
Most of the sellers didn't even block me the first, second, or even third time. I forced them to relist their items. I mostly did it because I kept seeing people post screenshots of my outrageous bids on some Facebook groups I'm in. It was funny to watch them all freak out and go sell stuff they had been hoarding. I know some people may have gotten some actual financial gain from it, and good for them, but I feel kind of bad thinking about the frustration of those sellers.
My God. Are you bored?
You seem angry.
Bored? Like, what
But this
are you
person
doing?
is kind of like fucking with scalpers, though.
Yeah, but like, yes, they're fucking with scalpers because
Yeah.
they're not paying. Also, just like, I don't like that in principle. Like, you're saying you're going to pay and then you're not. But you're also fucking with fans of Holo Taco who then see these inflated prices and feel more pressured to spend more on collections. And that's why I'm
artificially
upset.
inflating
Yeah.
the price, I guess. Yeah. This is weird. So we're aware that, yeah, if you go onto eBay, some of like the older Holo Taco collections will pop up sometimes and people are charging much more than the
Yeah, like
original
several
retail price.
$100s for an empty box, actually. I've seen empty boxes.
For the OG boxes.
Yeah, which is like ridiculous in my opinion.
We don't like this or endorse this. There's not a
No, I hate it.
Yeah.
I will say I hate it.
okay, and there's not a lot we can do about it either, though,
Yeah,
right?
unless they use my pictures. Yeah.
And you could say they can't use your picture. Yeah. There's a few things you can do, but like at the end of the day, we live in a world where like people are paying $100,000 for old Charizard Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
People are allowed to sell things they own, and people are allowed to decide how much they're willing to pay for it, right? So I don't really know.
Yeah,
There's nothing really to say.
Of course, and I think we have a reasonable take on it. I know this happens. I know people do it. I always kind of wonder what kind of a person is doing this. Is it just the person who doesn't really give a shit about Simply or Holo Taco? They're just buying it with the intention to do this.
Yeah.
And of course, I hate that person and their intentions and motivations at the core. But then I also hear the occasional story where, like, you know, a fan, someone who's participating in this, said that they had no choice but to list a collection box, and they listed it for several $100s, and that really helped them out that month. So am I going to hate that person? Like, I find it very difficult to have the same energy for that person. Yeah. So I'm trying to have like a reasonable understanding of this. Of course, like, I don't endorse any of it. And my problem with all of it is ultimately that it is an exploitative practice that puts a lot of pressure on fans of me who want the collectibles, and then they feel like they have to pay $300 for a box that was released 2 years ago. And I hate the culture of that. I hate what it does to fans who feel like they need this item. And then they ultimately are the ones who get exploited by people overcharging a box that was like $61, including the nail polish. Like, a lot of these boxes like don't even have the product in them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it obsessed me for that reason, because it's like stealing from you guys.
Well, and I agree. There's a big difference between like someone who's doing it strategically, like a scalper who's doing it thinking they will be able to make money later. Mm-hmm. And like, there's a reason we've put caps on how many of things people can buy and things like that. Yep. There's a few things we can do, but you're right. There's a difference between that and, you know, someone who's just like, I bought this collection, I genuinely wanted it, and now I just, you know, I have a reason to sell it now, or I don't want it anymore, or I could use the money.
Yeah, I know. But my advice to customers, to consumers, is don't participate in this. And I know that's easy for me to say because I have them all, and I maybe don't understand what it's like to be in the position where you really just want to complete the set and it's gone or not available anymore from the official store at, you know, the normal retail price. But just it's just nail polish, you know. Don't spend hundreds of dollars on it.
Yeah.
Don't give that money to someone who's just trying to exploit you. And I know that whoever it is can kind of change how I feel about it, but I think overall, you can help stop it by not supporting it.
Yeah. And even this person, right? They're, if anything, they're just sort of reinforcing the idea that there is some like high demand market for these old boxes.
Yeah,
It's
they're
not
fucking
like,
people over more by doing this. They're fucking both people over on both sides.
well, they seem to think they're benefiting resellers, but that's not really a good thing either, right? Like,
Right.
and this, like, we're trying to build a new computer for you right now. I'm having a lot of trouble doing it because it's just really hard to get graphics cards right now, GPUs. And it's because all these crypto bros have just snatched them all up so they could mine. Anyway,
So are
don't
they
get me
being
started on that.
overcharged or?
So yeah, so it's really difficult to find them, and where you can find them, people are charging like 3-4x how much they should really cost, and it's super frustrating. And so like the only thing stopping me from like building you a new streaming computer right now is just not being able to find, yeah, a really good GPU. Anyway,
But that's different. That's inflating just something that's in demand. It has nothing to do with the brand or the connection, right? That's like some people just need the good graphics card to do their job or do whatever. This is like trying to exploit people's like emotional attachment to, collecting everything. I think there's kind of a
Yeah.
difference. Yeah.
yeah, no, you're right. Cool.
Anyways, fuck y'all, dude.
Next one, I stole McDonald's Monopoly tickets to get free food. I live in Canada, and every year during a month, McDonald's has a game that you could win plenty of prizes, including free food, by collecting Monopoly tickets on food boxes. When I was 15, I was working at McDonald's, and I purposefully dropped a full load of Big Mac boxes and told the manager I was going to throw them away. I went out to the recycling bin to tear every Monopoly ticket on each box and kept the winning ones. There was probably 150 boxes with 2 tickets per box. For the next few months, I went to another McDonald's and ordered the free food for the tickets. I probably stole $300 to $400 worth of food.
Damn.
A lot of the posts on this confession subreddit, by the way, are people admitting to like shoplifting and things like that, by the way.
Yeah.
I do. You remember the Monopoly game? It used to be an enormous deal. I don't think it
Yeah.
really is anymore.
On
But
the
it was like,
fries.
it was an event. When people didn't have streamers or YouTubers to watch or American Idol, it was all about playing the Monopoly game at McDonald's. There's a really interesting documentary on HBO as well about how I don't want to give it away, but essentially the security company or someone had figured out a way to sort of like hack the game. And the way to win the grand prize was just like if you were able to find boardwalk or parking place. And yeah, someone had like found a way to steal those stickers, and then they would give it to their friends. And I think the FBI eventually noticed that it was like people with a relationship to one person was winning the grand prize over and over again. And it's essentially a lottery, right? So that's very illegal.
Yeah.
The idea here, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Well, I don't know. Like, okay, I know you're 15, so I'm taking that factor into account. And a lot of us did dumb shit when we were 15.
Yeah.
But like, this was your employer that you were stealing from. And I think
Yes.
even if you're 15 years old, you should understand that that's a big problem. And you probably knew that that there was something wrong with that. Because you would literally go to the back and tell the manager a lie just so you can throw out product so you can collect the little Monopoly stickers.
Ethically, there's a big difference between someone stealing out of necessity or someone stealing just because it was like fun and they figured out a scheme to do it. I will say, if you work at McDonald's, I would guess the last thing you want is a bunch of more free McDonald's. Maybe they don't. Like, how normal is it in restaurants for... I know at certain restaurants, like staff will get a meal on their shift. And I think that should be
Employee
very
discounts.
normal.
I had that at Shoppers. It was 30% off at the time.
Did you? When I worked at Loblaws, like a lot of people shoplifted, and it was pretty.
Really? Like employees?
Yes, and they
Shoplifted what? Like a bag of milk or like
snacks on breaks.
snacks.
Like there's
It was just
groceries
common
there,
knowledge.
right? And so it's built into the sort of business model that they know
that there's going to be losses.
There's going to be losses from shoplifting, right? And they'd have security guards like checking people's bags on the way out and shit like that. And
yeah, I always had my bag checked.
Did you?
I remember
Yeah.
that, yeah.
So, yeah, it was weird how sort of normalized it was, right?
I guess it's because people thought like it wouldn't be missed. So it's that kind of logic that like, oh, no one's going to miss it in this giant store with all this food or, you know.
I think it's a difference too between like, it's one thing to steal from like Walmart. It feels very different feeling like you're stealing from Walmart than it does stealing from like some local mom and pop type store, right? I think when you take any sort of relationship of the person out of it, you just feel like you're stealing from some multi-billion-dollar company that doesn't pay their employees enough. I think it's much easier to justify to yourself too.
Yeah, but that's why I wonder like what was happening here. I know it's McDonald's, so that's like a multi-billion-dollar company, but did they need to steal those food tickets or did they just get a kick out of stealing those food tickets? Because, you know, you're a teenager and you're like, I'm going to do bad things. This is fun. And then brag about it to your friends. But,
You're
like,
right. We're missing some information here.
Yeah.
Also, like, I don't know. Aren't the other prizes better than just free McDonald's?
Yeah, like, why couldn't you get a free car one? Wrong choice. Pick better tickets.
Anyway, check out McMillions on HBO, I think.
Yeah.
Was that the name of it?
I think so.
Confession, I never want a job. Ever. I get depressed enough already. I'm perfectly fine out of school, but in school, the constant pressure to do this or you'll fail in life really, really brings me down. I'm aware how difficult it is to get a job too. I don't want to worry if my application went through or not. I don't want to be pressured into working from 9 to 5, Mondays to Fridays until I'm in my late 60s. I don't want to be harassed by some members of the public because some other employee did something wrong. I want to be me. I want to dress how I want to dress. If someone yells at me, I should be allowed to argue back without fearing being fired. I hope to try and make a living off YouTube. I checked my estimated earnings and I'll be earning around $300 a month if I could monetize my videos. It should be good enough, hopefully. This is sad.
This is
bums me
sad.
out.
I know. This bums me out.
This is kind of a sad episode.
I would have liked to know a little bit more about them, like their age, kind of where they live, just understand a little bit more of the context. But like, hey, this is the r/confessions. This is people saying things that they probably aren't.
They want to get off their chest. They might just be venting.
Exactly. So they're venting. So I can understand how there's probably a lot of people who felt that way one way or another, but it goes in flux. You know, there's times where I felt like, fuck, I don't want to do this job when I was, I don't know, 16 and, you know, working a job and I had a really bad day. And that still happens even with people who are successful. You kind of go up and down. Not every day you're going to love exactly what you're doing.
To me, there's a really big difference between this attitude of like, I never want to work at all and I don't want to work a job that I find dehumanizing or that doesn't value my humanity or doesn't let me express any of my sort of creative potential. Like to me, it's just really sad seeing like this idea that I just don't want to do anything.
Well, maybe they just haven't discovered what they would like doing.
Sure.
But you're right. There is a big difference, and there's two very different discussions between someone saying, I want to work in a meaningful position. I want to do something that I love to do, and I want to make money doing off something I love to do. And then someone saying, fuck everything. I don't want to work at all. I just want to sit on my couch and do absolutely nothing. That is my goal in life. Two very different people. And I think we just have to make that distinction because obviously we are supportive of the person who wants to find work that is fulfilling to them, that isn't exploitative, that is something that they are hopefully enjoying. And, you know, there's always bad days, good days, not 100% of days you're going to love, but something that they find fulfilling in the long term and that is rewarding, both financially, but also like mentally and for what you want to do with your life. We support that group of people, obviously, and that principle in life.
But it's just like a harsh reality numbers game that not everyone is going to have their dream job.
Yeah.
Not everyone can be an astronaut or a ballerina or like what, you know.
Bad old examples. Not everyone could be a YouTube star is the more common example. And a YouTube star who makes millions.
This person must just be very young, I would think. Like $300 a month is, I guess it really depends where you live.
Does it? I have a hard time imagining where $300 a month is going to be something worth living off of. And also, hey, if you're making $300 a month off YouTube this month, it could be $100 next month.
Yeah,
So
YouTube's
there's
not a
no job
reliable
security.
source of income. Yeah.
Zero job security in YouTube.
Yeah. You know what? I like the idea of UBI, Universal Basic Income, Christine. But I feel like the biggest challenge to getting people to agree with that is the attitude of some people who just don't want to work. Because I think,
But isn't that such a small minority in that people use that argument to just say, forget about it?
yeah. No, I'm saying I'm in favor. I think there's good data and research to suggest that some form of UBI is actually a really good thing. It sort of takes away, just to put some people in money in people's pockets, takes away that like I'm just gonna work some terrible job out of necessity.
Yeah.
You give them like just enough money to sort of like survive, make easier for people just to live, and then you would hope that most people still have some drive to do something meaningful, to get out of bed in the morning and contribute some sort of value to society, right? But I think a big reason we'd have trouble convincing some people that that's a good policy decision is the idea that there are some people who just like would take that check and just not do anything.
But that argument occurs no matter what policy. There's always going to be some people who are on the extremes who don't agree with it, who don't listen to it. There's always going to be some anti-vaxxers, like
Sure.
So,
and I guess that's why we've seen some like social assistance programs try to be like more means tested, like food stamps. Like, let's not give poor people money, give them stamps they can exchange for food to make sure they're being responsible with money. Like, there's a bunch of problems with that, honestly.
Well, then there's more room for discrimination. If you're coming into a shop with a food stamp versus with a $20 bill, you might face more discrimination because of your perceived status.
Yeah, and it can just be dehumanizing in other ways too, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Like there was a time. It's funny if you go back to like, there's like sociologists writing back in the day, like during like the Industrial Revolution, sort of assumed that industrialization and technology would mean like people just wouldn't have to work as much. And that like really has not been true at all, right? So we talk about robotics and automation stuff now and how that is just going to take away jobs from people. But I think the real concern is that that's not going to be to the benefit of everyone sharing in the success of technology and not having to work anymore. That's going to benefit the people who own robots. And then all of a sudden there's going to be people with like no job prospects anymore.
And then how are they going to make money to survive? And I guess the argument that this person is like, I don't care. I want to be able to live and survive and never work a day in my life. I don't need to have passions and turn them into money. I just want to do nothing. And I guess I personally have a really hard time relating to that type of person. I can empathize with the person who wants to find something that they love or it remotely just enjoy a little bit and, make do with that for some time until they, find the ultimate career or whatever. But I have a lot of trouble empathizing with the person who's just like straight up, I want to do absolutely nothing. Because if we all said that, if we all said, fuck everything, I don't want to do anything, how are we going to get our food? How are we going to have houses built? How are we going to do anything? We just all want to be like sitting around doing nothing. Like society does not work this way. We all, and I guess what I'm saying is like having that attitude can be perceived as selfish because not everyone can do nothing. If everyone did nothing, then we would all have nothing. So people who do want to do something, I hope that we can all do something that we love, but that also gives back to society and helps society be productive and sustain and grow and develop into something where we're all happy, but working together. And I think that's what I value in people is like, let's find something that you like to do, that you're good at, and hopefully you make money doing that. And that is the ultimate goal. And it benefits other people when you do that, whatever it is, whether you create art, whether you're a good engineer, whether you're like a software coder, you design websites, whatever it is, that's all like contributing.
Yeah, and I feel people just need to give some meaning to their lives too, right? Like I agree with you. I can't imagine this. It makes me really sad thinking about the idea of someone who really has no drive to do anything. And it might be just you're going through a hard time right now, or you're young, or there might be just some legitimate issues as to why you can't work. We're not saying like you're not valuable if you can't work. I think it's any sort of modern society should take care of its vulnerable people and people who can't work and things like that too.
But it's
right?
the attitude, I guess. It's
Yeah.
okay if you're in a situation due to your life circumstances or disability or whatnot, that if you're just incapable of working. I don't think that's not what we're saying. We're talking about the people who fully have the ability to do something and they're just like, nah, I'd rather sit here and do nothing because I can, and I would rather rely on community resources
I
to
think
help
all
me.
these people are going to be plugged into the metaverse pretty soon, right? Honestly, like I don't know how they would, keep the lights on, keep the electricity flowing to their apartment, but when there is good virtual reality, there's going to be a lot of people who choose to plug into a
just plug
computer
in.
over, whatever.
How much does it cost to stay plugged in?
I
How are
don't
you
know.
going to pay for it? What, like,
Let's
I'm sure
ask
there's
Mark
a charge.
Zuckerberg.
There's definitely a
There's
charge. You can't just do that.
The same people who try to sell you cryptos and NFTs are already talking about like real estate in the metaverse.
How to plug in for a fee.
Well, you can own this virtual mansion.
You can own Park Place.
They're trying
Boardwalk.
to. It's kind of sad that someone isn't trying to think of that in a more like utopia for anyone. It's already sort of just reifying the sort of capitalist structure in the metaverse.
I do just want to end on this one just by saying that I can understand, because like we've all been there. We've all, or I don't want to say we've all, but most people have worked jobs that they didn't want to work. As a teenager, I didn't get famous or rich, until I was older. So I hate if people try and say, well, it must be nice to be you. Okay, I have some background where I understand a little bit more, what it's like to be a normal person, if you want to call it that. But I think that what's important to recognize is that no matter where you are in your career, your age, the type of job, you're going to have days where you feel really discouraged. You feel not motivated. And that's a question that I get all the time is like, how do you stay motivated? And it might apply here. This person's just not motivated. And the answer is you're not always going to be motivated. You're just not. And it's okay to have a bad day where you feel like, I don't want to write my resume today. I feel like I'm not ready to submit my resume. And you just have to give yourself time and talk to others and start slowly setting goals where you can, for what makes sense for you in your life. And that's okay. I want to just make sure it's okay to have bad days. And I hope that this person is just having a bad day.
All right, this episode was a bit of a bummer.
This was more like life skills with the PodLogical.
Oh man. Okay, that's it. I think we're gonna call it there, Christine. We had a lot more, but we went pretty long on those. Do we want to end on a lighter note? Do you have any?
Is there a quick lighter one or
no?
There's
Do you
no
have any?
more. There's no more lighter ones. They're all dark. Yeah, it's tough, man. Well, people confess dark shit, so it makes sense.
I guess that's the point of confessions.
And this is tough, and I know that not everyone listening in the audience is going to relate to all of these, or they're going to have very strong opinions about something. But what I always try to do is, as much as is possible, because it is impossible in most circumstances, you try and understand where the other person is coming from. And you try and have a balanced conversation around it. So I think that's what I hope audience members are doing too when they're, writing in the comments and saying this is objectively wrong because ABC. We've all been and we all wear different shoes, or whatever the saying is. What's the saying?
We all wear different shoes. Yeah.
We all wear different shoes.
All right. Do you have any confessions? Do you have anything you want to share?
I don't know. I don't know.
Putting you on
I'm
the
caught
spot
off guard.
here.
What's my confession?
I don't know that you kiss Menchie on the nose.
I
That
do.
you share a cereal bowl with Menchie.
Yeah, I've licked her forehead. I literally licked her, and then I was like, "Ew."
It's like TLC, my strange addiction.
I just wanted her to love me.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in.
What's your confession? Hey, I gave you one. You give one.
When I was 10 years old, went trick-or-treating with my sister. She saved all her Reese's peanut butter cups. I ate them all Halloween that night. And so over the course of the next few weeks, I snuck into her room and one by one, I took all her peanut butter cups out. And I think about this quite often. I feel bad about it. I've talked to her. We've made amends.
Okay.
We repaired the relationship. I sent her a giant box of Reese's at one point.
I mean, you were smart. in how you went about it.
But I stole from her.
Yeah, but you did it slowly, so no one would notice. You see what I mean? Like, you were already thinking smart.
But then she checked one day and they were all gone.
But she checked one day after like 60 days of never checking. See, that's where you went wrong.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do better next time. Were you expecting something more serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the point is you don't want to confess.
Well, remember
anything
when we
more
were
serious.
driving and we hit that guy and then we buried him in the
Oh,
woods?
Ben,
No?
shut up. Not true. Not true. I stole my parents' alcohol.
Oh, there's a confession.
Yeah.
Yeah? What
Like,
was it?
Which teenager hasn't? I don't know. I feel like that was
You know, my mom accused me of stealing her alcohol, even though I didn't one time.
what?
She was like, Grand Marnier. And I'm like, I don't want to drink
You're
that.
like, that's for old people. No, I stole Smirnoff vodka. That's for young people at the time.
Vodka. Who likes
Because it was
vodka?
cheap. So I'm like, they're not going to be mad. It's like inexpensive.
So wait, did you just take it, or were you more crafty? Were you like watering it down to make it look? Yeah,
I did exactly what you did with Reese's.
a little bit,
Little by little, I would put it in a water bottle, and so they wouldn't notice because they would drink, every few days or whatever.
So you're doing them a favor. You didn't want them to drink as much.
Exactly. I'm just protecting.
Yeah, that's very nice of you.
No, but like, I don't know. Like, teenagers do this shit, and I'm not endorsing doing it. but like, I can admit to things, as a 33-year-old. I am not perfect. I was a little stupid. We've all done things, and I think reflecting on them later and, laughing, sometimes it's okay. I'm not trying to be a role model, and I'm not instructing you to go do that to your parents, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. All right, Simply. Thanks so much for watching.
Yeah. Let's go steal some tea.
Okay.
All right, everybody.
Enjoy your tacos. We'll see you next Taco Tuesday.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.